Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Well, it's been 4 days since Mexico lost 8 of its citizens who were killed by Egyptian security forces while on tour in Egypt. Mexico is anything but pleased with this development, and as a result, the foreign minister of the country is in Cairo and has announced that it will wait for the results of an Egyptian government investigation before determining what action to take.
Talks and negotiations have revolved around the issue of the investigation, which has been agreed will be a thorough, comprehensive, expedited, and transparent one, and that its findings will be made public, will be made available for determining the responsibilities and further actions that result from whatever is found.
Prefer that a full and thorough investigation is undertaken, a transparent one, which can define the circumstances and events in an accurate, factual, and verifiable manner. And once that is completed, it will be in the public domain and will, of course, be communicated to the Mexican government. We will continue to praise the Mexican government of any subsequent developments related to the investigation or any elements of that investigation that might be concluded prior to the full completion of the various dimensions of the investigation.
Now, terrorism is a global threat of which Somalia is no exception. However, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has dismissed the capture of settlements by al-Shabaab militants this month, saying they had no strategic value and that it does not signal a resurgence of the Islamist group.
Al-Shabaab, which wants to topple President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and his Western-backed government, retook the central Somali town of Bukda and 2 other settlements this month, shortly after they raided a base of African troops, killing at least 12 people. The Islamist attacks follow a military campaign by the African Union's AMISOM forces and Somali troops that pushed the group out of key towns on the coast and driven them into increasingly small pockets of countryside, mostly in the south of Somalia.
AMISOM and Somali National Army has liberated most of the major towns of Somalia, and they have taken over the strategic locations of the country. They have isolated Shabaab to have link to the oceans and the seas of Somalia. They have lost most of the strategic locations. We're talking about these remote areas, and they can move around and may try to take over some smaller ones, but that's not strategically something that damages to the operation or to the goals of Somali National Army and AMISOM.
President Mohamud is confident that al-Shabaab no longer has access to the sea, which experts say has been used in the past to generate cash for the group from smuggling or importing arms. AMISOM, the African Union's force in Somalia, has been battling the Islamist rebels with the Somali army.
Well, the federal government of Somalia has been working with the Puntland government in the security sector issue, and in particular on the Al-Shabaab war in the Galgala area. The federal government of Somalia is a very poor government. There's budget limitations. It has its own other limitations, and there are so many demands on the federal government of Somalia. But even then, whatever limited resources that we have, we share it with the government of Puntland for those inputs that are necessary for the fight against Al-Shabaab in Galgala mountainous areas.
The group frequently carries out bombings and gun attacks on officials at offices, hotels and restaurants in the capital Mogadishu and elsewhere. The latest attack happened on Thursday, September the 17th, in which at least 3 soldiers who were waiting to collect their salaries at a military camp in the port city of Kismayu were killed.
Now, tomorrow is yet another big day in Ghana as the 34 judges are scheduled to appear in court to be cross-examined over bribery allegations with video evidence. The video was released by local journalists who petitioned authorities to act and remove the judges from office. But some fear that corruption in the judiciary goes much higher.
12 High Court judges and 22 junior judges had been captured on video by investigative journalist Anas Arameyo Anas with the newspaper Crusading Guide. He released the recording to authorities and petitioned the President and Chief Justice to remove the judges from office. Kweku Ansa Asare, a lawyer practicing in the Ghanaian capital Accra, says corruption in the judiciary is not new and worries that those involved in carrying out the investigations may be compromised.
Even the misleading impression that there's no corruption in the Court of Appeal, there's no corruption in the Supreme Court. There is. There are some Court of Appeal judges who are corrupt. In their marrow, corruption is in their marrow. There are some Supreme Court judges who are corrupt. It is in their marrow.
Ghana's Judicial Council, headed by the Chief Justice Georgina Wood, has suspended the 22 junior judges who appeared in the video. 14 of them have appealed to the Supreme Court against their suspension, saying it was contrary to law and due process because transcripts of the video that were submitted by the journalists were not made available to them. Ansa Ansari argues that Ghana's judicial system needs an overall assessment, saying that judges were often underpaid and overworked.
On paper, judges' conditions of service will look attractive, but they are not. They are not at all. I mean, when you pay a high court judge, let's say 7,000 Ghana cedis a month, you know, when he's sitting in judgment over colossal amounts, it's like the bankers, they pay their, personnel, handsomely.
Other judges and residents alike who have been observing the case deem it a wake-up call to the judicial system.
It's a wake-up call for us to implement as quickly as possible that aspect of the National Anti-Corruption Plan, which requires a re-engineering of some of our state institutions that have been identified as prone to corruption.
We don't have a future in this country because justice to be poor. I'm a poor man and I have a case, and a rich man can use his money to buy justice. But we have poor people. The majority of the people in this country are poor, and few people can use their money to buy justice in this country. What do we stand in this country? Then the whole country is collapsed.
Ghana is ranked 61 out of 175 by Transparency International, with Denmark ranking 1 as the least corrupt country in the world, Botswana ranking 31 as the least corrupt in sub-Saharan Africa, and Somalia being the most corrupt country overall.
Well, tomorrow is also going to be another big day in court, but this one has to do with the South Africa's Parole Review Board, which will be meeting to decide when Oscar Pistorius can be released from prison. Pistorius was due to be released into house arrest on August the 21st after serving just 10 months of a 5-year sentence for killing his model and law graduate girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp, on Valentine's Day of 2013. However, Justice Minister Michael Masuta blocked his proposed release, saying procedure had not been followed. And on that note, here's our question of the day. We're asking, should Oscar Pistorius be released on parole? Well, feel free to send us your thoughts either via email or Twitter. The address and handle are right there on your screen. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. I'm Cynthia Are.